Hey everyone, it's Yishan here. Just a couple of things before we get into the video. Number one, if you enjoy the content, do please consider subscribing. It helps out a lot. And number two, I've got a couple of affiliate links, free ways to support the channel. Number one is my TCG player link. If you shop there, I get some of the money you send on the website. It costs you nothing extra. Number two is my Your Playmat affiliate link. They make custom sleeves and mats. This is a custom sleeve right here. Check them out. If you use that affiliate link, you get 10% off. Without further ado, guys, let's get right into the video. Hey guys, it's Yishan here. I am excited to bring you guys another installment of the Programming in Yu-Gi-Oh series. Today's card is going to be the heavily anticipated and exciting new card, Small World. Okay, I'm going to break this video into three parts. The first part, I'm just going to explain a little bit about Small World, why programming is so effective when it comes to utilizing this card and understanding this card's full potential. Second part, I'm going to show you how to actually use the program that I wrote, which I spent a lot of time on. And then the third part, I'm going to actually show you, walk you through the code for those of you that are interested in coding maybe a little bit, or just are interested in general about how all this stuff works. And I'll walk you through some of the challenges I had, some of the weird problems I faced, and how I fixed those problems. Okay, so those are the three parts. You can look at the timestamps below. The first thing I have to shout out here is Gabriel Netz from the Disciples. He was the first person I saw write some piece of software for this card, and I have used some of his software in my program with his permission, of course, and I sort of made it a little bit, well, in some ways for sure better because I fixed a couple of bugs, and then I've sort of changed a little bit, and then I've added some other stuff on top of it. So I really need to give a big shout out. He wrote the initial program, and as programmers do, they build on top of each other's work to make something even better. So hopefully that's what I've done here. But okay, let's get into the video. Oh, one more thing, by the way, guys, this program took me probably about 5 hours to make, actually 10, because I spent 5 hours building some really bad program. So by far, these math and Yu-Gi-Oh and programming Yu-Gi-Oh videos are the videos I spend the most time making, and I love making them because they're fun, but I know they're really popular. But if you enjoyed the video, guys, please, like, comment, subscribe. That really helps out. It makes me want to do them in the future because, again, these videos take a lot of work. It's definitely some high effort content. Okay, let us talk about Small World real quick. And why am I using Microsoft Edge? Well, this is going to be the part where I show you how to use the program, but I wanted to just sort of visualize what it looks like for a user that's not logged into the account that made this program. So I just wanted to get a more user experience. Okay, well, that's a little spoiler alert, but Small World. If you somehow haven't heard about this card, I'm going to explain to you really quick. It's a spell card. Basically, what it lets you do is it lets you search any monster in your deck. And how it does this is it's going to cost you a card from your hand. You're going to have to reveal a different card than you want to search from your deck that you don't want to search, right? So you want to reveal a different card that's not the card you want to search, and then you finally could search that card. And the requirements to do that is for the card A to be compatible, I got a little stutter there, with card B, and then card B to compatible with the card you want to search. We're going to call it card C. So compatible. Small World compatible is a terminology I'm going to use a lot for the rest of the video. What does that mean? It means that the two monsters share exactly one of these things. They share exactly one, though, not two, not three, not four, not zero. Exactly one of these characteristics, type, attribute, level, attack, or defense. Okay, so exactly one of these. You can banish the card from your monster from your hand, reveal another Small World compatible monster from your deck, and then search a Small World compatible monster with the monster you revealed from your deck. Okay, so that is how the card works. Why is this card so good for programming? Well, it's hard for humans to analyze all the possibilities with this, but that's where an API comes in. And I have to shout out the Yugioh Pro Deck API. I mean, this thing is fantastic, and this is another thing that Gabriel showed me, but really huge shout out. Basically, what an API is it's a information bank, right? As a programmer, we can ask this information bank, hey, can I get some information, right? At least that's what an API is in this case. And this time the information they're going to give me is about Yu-Gi-Oh cards. As long as I communicate with them in the way that they expect, they can give me anything I want to know about Yu-Gi-Oh cards. This thing is fantastic. Not perfect. There was some troubles I had with it, and I'll go over those in the code explanation. But other than that, really good. So okay, that is that. So I will go and talk about how to use the Small World program now. So this is part 2 of the video. Now, There are, so when you get to this page, you're just going to click on that play button. There's going to be 3 modes you can use the program in. I'm actually going to start with mode 3 because that's Gabriel's, mostly Gabriel's code. I made some changes to it. I fixed a couple of bugs. They weren't really his fault. They were actually the Yugioh Pro Deck API's fault. It's because question mark attack monsters by rule, they don't compare to anything else. So for example, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck API was treating them as 0 attack monsters. That is not the case. For example, if a monster has 0 defense, much like Dino Wrestler Pankratops, for example, and I found out this bug because I was testing my Grand Manju deck, Dino Wrestler Pankratops has 0 defense. The Yugioh Pro Deck API also said that Eater of Millions has 0 defense. It considered these two a match because it says, well, they both have 0 defense, when in fact this is not the case. Question mark attack / defense does not compared to anything. It's not going to be compared in Small World. So actually, Eater of Millions and Grand Manchu compared to, they're Small World compatible because they're both fiends and all their other attributes do not compare. So I had to fix that. And then I changed a couple of other things about Gabe code, but the rest of it is his. And so let's go over what happens here. So Gabe wrote this fantastic piece of code that takes a YDK file and tells you all these Small World compatible ways. It's like a cheat sheet for every single Small World interaction you can have. Now, what I did is I also, in addition to sort of printing that out, I added a little thing at the end, which I think might be sometimes even really useful for a player to see, is I'm going to output all the things that you can't, all the bridges you can't find, all the cards that don't work. For example, there's no possible way in your deck to get from, Ash Blossom to something else, then this program will tell you that. So how you're going to use mode 3 is you're going to first press enter 3, say you want to use mode 3. It's going to ask you to copy and paste a YDK file, the main deck card numbers, right? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open your YDK file, okay? So I got a bunch of YDK files. Let me show you how to get a YDK file from Dueling Book. What you can do is you can export this deck. You export it as a YDK file. You click OK. Right now you can open this thing. It's going to open a notepad. I'm going to drag it over to this monitor here so you guys can see. Now what you're going to want to do is you want to take everything between hashtag main and everything before the hashtag, I think it's extra here. Just everything in your main deck, basically. And you want to copy this, right? So I'm going to recommend you use not the shortcuts. You're going to right-click here. The reason you don't want to use the shortcuts is because it gets really weird when you're trying to copy and paste into this thing. So you want to use the right-click paste here, okay? So instead of Control-C, Control-V, or Command-C, Command-V, you want to right-click here and do that. So now you're going to hit paste. Now we're going to hit enter twice. First enter is for the last card, and the second enter is to say we're done entering cards. And then boom, the program is going to work, and it's really quick. So that's just what happened. So here we see a lot of Gabe's work where basically just outlines every single possible ad right here, right? Every single one. Now this is actually pretty hard to read. So what I actually like to do, and this is what I added to the program, was I added a section at the bottom that describes to you what you cannot do. Sometimes it's easier to remember what you cannot do. So basically, Danger Bigfoot, the only card it can't find with Small World is Dino Wrestler Pankratops, right? Danger Thunderbird, it actually can find every single card. Funny enough, that's really cool. So this empty set means that there is no cards that it cannot find. You can see Alpha has a hard time getting to a couple of cards. Doggeron has a hard time getting to a couple of cards, right? Eater of Millions can't get to Gren. So this is sort of what you can use to sort of, okay, I can't get to these cards, right? So if Luna can't get to a lot of cards, but that's sort of how this works, right? So Dimension Shifter can't get to Fairy Tale Luna. And I think this is actually not quite correct. It doesn't count the... Oh, no, this is correct. This Dimension Shifter cannot get to Fairy Tale Luna. That makes sense, right? So actually, I see humans are stupid. Programs, they know all. So yeah, that's basically what this does, right? So it gives you every single link and every single missing link, right? Now, there are other modes to this program as well. So the intent of this program is, okay, let's say you have a deck, right? And you see you got some missing links. Okay, so for example, I don't like the fact that I can't add Gren Maju off my Alpha Master of Beasts, right? Now, I want to look up cards that I can potentially use to bridge Alpha the Master of Beasts and Gren Maju to Isis. So what I'm going to do, excuse me, scroll down too far, is I'm going to use mode 1, right? I know what card I have in my hand. I have an Alpha in my hand, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy and paste, right? Oh, I forgot. You can't use the... You don't want to use the Control-C and Control-V. So you wanna highlight and use your mouse. I forget about this. This is the one problem with Replit. It's not very good at copying and pasting. So what we're gonna do, yeah, we're gonna actually copy this Alpha here, and then we're gonna wait for the program to relaunch again. We're gonna choose mode 1. okay? And then we're going to paste Alpha Master Beasts. Now we're not supposed to, you want to get the name exactly correctly, okay? So unfortunately, I don't really have a good way to spell check, so you don't want to include the quotes. You just want to copy everything that's not the quotes and then paste here. You can type this out by hand if you want, but you do need to get the name correct. So that's one thing that I had, if I had more time, I would have tried to fix, but it's, you know, it's pretty hard to like figure out what you intend to mean. So I'm going to copy Gren Maju to Isa, and I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to press enter. And what just happened was it printed out every single card that could go from Alpha. It's printing out every single middle card that would bridge from Alpha to Gren Maju. Now I ordered the cards, so the last card is like sort of the most popular, right? So you're gonna see the top cards, like the cards you don't even heard of, but as you get to the bottom, the first cards you see, they're the most popular. So what I can see here is, okay, Ghost Spell. You know, you could run that. You could run Virtual World GG. You could run Tri Brigade. You could run Danger Jackalope. Now that is really cool. I did not realize you could get from Alpha to Danger Jackalope to Gren Maju. Now, how is this? Is it because they're both beasts? I think it's because they're both beasts, right? So let's go double check our work here. Danger Jackalope, I believe the reason is because Danger Jackalope is a beast, and it's level 3 to match up with Gren Maju. That's really, really awesome. So if I put a Danger Jackalope in my deck, I would actually solve that missing link, and that's sort of the power of programming, right? I just searched through every single possible card that could link the two, and got that. So that's really, really cool. Danger Jackalope is like a card that you could run. Okay, so what's another thing that we want to know? I'm gonna do mode 1 again. I'm gonna do Eater of Millions, and it's not case sensitive, so I believe you can do like this, and then you can just type them out if you know the exact names of the cards. I can recommend you just copy and paste. Remember, use your mouse to copy and paste. Right click instead of using Control C, Control V. Okay, so we wanted to know from Gren Maju to Eater of Millions. Cyberdark Claw is one of the first suggestions. The Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, Magician's Rod. Again, look at this, Danger Jackalope. So perhaps Danger Jackalope is worth considering in a small world Gren Maju deck because it adds bridges between Eater and Gren, as well as Alpha, the Master of Beasts, and Gren Maju, right? So really, really, really interesting code here. And you can do this with any two cards as long as you spell them correctly. You know, you don't even have to use like a deck, right? Another thing that you might want to find is, you know, you might want to find other connections between cards that you don't even know, right? So what I recommend if you're just looking for cards is, like, let's say I want to search Lyraless Turquoise Warbler, right? I want to know everything. How can I search this card with Small World? And I'm playing like Lyraless Tri Brigade, right? So like Fractal, for example, right? It's a card that, you know, a lot of people might think is a good, you know, like how can I get from Fractal to Lyraless Turquoise Warbler? Well, that's a great question. I don't actually know. So let's just copy these names, right? It's easy to just copy these names so you don't misspell them. Copy. Okay, let's go back here. I'm going to choose mode 1 again. I'm going to paste Tri Brigade Fractal here. Press enter. I'm going to go and find Lyraless Turquoise Warbler. I'm going to copy her name as well. I'm going to go back to the Small World Rebel, and I'm going to paste this here. Press enter. Boom. Whoa, look at this. Rescue Cat actually matches between Fractal and Warbler. That is so cool. Rescue Cat is a card that people already play, so that's really, really cool. You can do Rescue Rabbit as well. Now, why do these two? Oh, it's because they're level 4 for between Fractal and Cat, and then I think it's 300 attack between Cat and Lyraless Turquoise Warbler. So like this is like just something I would never think of if I didn't have the program. So this is really, really cool. You can also use the Kaiju as well. That is super cool. Is it because they match on defense and then attributes? See, like these are things like I never think about. Let's look at Godarla here. Godarla, how much does it have? Like what? Oh, it has 1600 defense. Does Fractal also have 1600 defense? Oh, that is so cool. Okay, so Fractal has 1600 defense, Godarla has 1600 defense, and then Godarla is wind, so that's how those match. So this is like really, really cool. You can just play around with it, find cards that you want. That is really, really awesome. Okay, so that is mode 2 now, or mode 1. Mode 2 is the last mode. This one was just requested. Basically, you just type any card and it gives you a lot of small world compatible cards. So like, let's say like, you know, like you just want to know like, okay, maybe I have a middle card. What can I search with card A in my deck? So let's say, what kind of player are you? Let's say you're an invoked player. You want to know what Alistair the Invoker can get you, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to go here. I like to look up the card just because I don't want to misspell it. I go and click on the wiki link and I just copy this name. I want to know what Alistair the Invoker can search me. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my small world REPL, and I'm just going to paste his name in there and then press enter. Oh my gosh, I need to do the strip. Okay, I'm going to add. So it's because there was some extra space in the front for some reason. It's getting confused. It's actually, that actually should be fixed by the time you guys see this. But so I'm just going to type it, but it's Alistair the Invoker. So it's choice 2 and Alistair the Invoker. And it's going to show every single card that you can add with Alistair the Invoker. 2,591 possible targets. Ash, Valor, Gamma, Ghost Spell, Troll, Ghost Ogre all work with Alistair. That is insane. Red Eyes, Black Dragon, Dogmatica, right? So this is like what you can do, and you can just search through all of these. I mean, that's really, really cool. There's 2,000 cards. So that is the last mode. So couple of things I still need to fix about the program, but when you're watching this video, they should be fixed already. Okay, guys, that is it for today's video. That is programming Yugioh. That is it for this section. Now I'm going to talk about how the code actually works and what I did. So that is everything you need to know there. Let's take a look at the code, shall we? So I got the code opened up on my computer here, and we can talk about the code. I'll make this a bit bigger. Okay, so let's just open up. There's 3 files that you need to be aware of. We can actually probably just look at it in here, actually. You can just look at the code in here. This is Gabe's original code. This is some code I wrote, and this is the Yugioh API. It's a file, a helper file, basically, that deals with some stuff. So how does this work? Well, basically, I had to tackle a couple of problems. There's a couple of ways to go about this, and originally, my first thought as a programmer was, okay, I'm just going to try to search. I'm going to pass some stuff to the API and say, okay, listen, I want you to find me all monsters between level 12, like 1 and 7, like every monster that's not level 7, but has these attributes, right? Just find me all those monsters. But then I realized, okay, I spent a lot of time on that, and I was like, wait a second, why don't I just search every single monster? And you might think, well, why search every single monster when you can search more specific monsters? The reason is because it actually takes a lot of time to call the API. That's the most costly thing. That's in terms of time consumption. That's the most costly thing, right? So what I do is I just call the API once, and I ask it to return every single monster to me in the game. That's all I want. Every single main deck monster, I want all of them, right? And you might think it's crazy to look at every single monster all the time, but it turns out computers are actually really fast, and there are not that many Yu-Gi-Oh monsters. Well, there are actually a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh monsters, but not that many when it comes to a computer, right? There's like less than 10,000, I think. So that's really, really small when it comes to computers. Computers can look through that extremely, extremely fast, right? And it doesn't get bigger. It doesn't grow exponentially. Like there's always going to be like around 10,000 monsters. So, and again, probably less. So that's what I did. Basically, all you do is you take the card and you get all its information, okay? All the relevant information from it, right? And you have some code, exactly one equal, that checks if 2 of these relevant informations has exactly one similar attribute, right? So that's what the code here does. I wrote a card popularity function. This is what is used to sort the cards at the end. If you remember on the output here, it sorts by popularity. So basically what the API also shows me is like how many views the cards has had, upvotes, downvotes. And I sort of just use this to make a fake little popularity like score. And I use that to rank the cards so that like you see cards that you probably want to put in your deck first. Right, and then this is just the whole function, which just gets the 2 attributes from the cards, right? And then it looks through all the similar cards that both of these have, right? And then if they're exactly one equal, so first it takes every single card that compares with card 1, that's small world compatible. That's like basically mode 2, and then it looks only in the mode 2. It does basically mode 2 on the cards in that were all similar with card 1, right? So hopefully this is making sense. You first find all the cards that have exactly one equal characteristic with card 1, and then you do the same thing for all the cards that you just found. So card list is used here, and then you sort them, and then you print them, and that's it. This is a couple just to make sure that the cards are like legal names. And then this does some other stuff, find small world compatible. This is just like a simpler function that only does it once. And that's it. So this is like the printout. It does some stuff. Let's look at Gabe's code, which is what I changed a little bit. I changed the input to his code here. Basically now what it does is instead of having to like copy and paste a whole file into here, you just copy and paste the numbers. I'm not sure which one is better still. I wanted to try something different because I think working with files and trying to edit the code is a little bit weird. But basically all you have to do is just, you take every single card, and how his thing works is it looks at the number. So every Yu-Gi-Oh card has like an 8-digit number, and you can ask the API what card that is. Instead of calling the API a bunch of times originally, I just call it once and then look through the return results and find what it is. So basically what happens here is, I get rid of all the duplicates because you only need to know one of each, and I look through the API and say, okay, if the card matches the ID, then that's the card I'm looking for, and I can give it its attack, its defense, its attribute, its level, right? And then all this does is basically figure it all out, and then I wrote some fancy little code that keeps track of the missing links as well as the actual links. So that's sort of how Gabe's code works. Shout out Gabe. And then the most interesting part of the code, I think, which was one of the biggest challenges, once I figured out that this is how I wanted the code to work, one of the biggest challenges was question mark attack, question mark defense. I can give you a little example of this, actually. So let's take a look at the Yugioh Pro Deck API. This is what sort of the problem was, right? What we can do is we can ask for this card, right? We can ask for the information about a card. So what you can actually just copy and paste this into your browser, and it'll show you stuff, right? So instead of Tornado Dragon, let's look at Eater of Millions. Okay, Eater, and then I guess %20 means space. So of, and then %20, and then millions. And then we're gonna get rid of dragon. So this should work. I should just be able to look up the card, Eater of Millions, and it comes up. Now the problem with this is, notice that the attack and defense values right here, this is a little bit small. Let me make this bigger here. The attack and defense value returned is 0. This is a problem for the Small World program because remember, like I said, it's supposed to be question mark, and how did I get around this? Well, I realized that I only wanted to call the API once, right? Because I didn't want to waste time calling the API a bunch of times. I realized that I had to sort of edit what was returned, right? I needed to change these to sort of represent question mark. So what I did, and this took a lot of time, was I basically, let me find my REPL here. I basically took every single monster that had question mark attack and defense and listed them all. I typed all of them out. Okay, then this is basically a string that says I want to get every single main deck monster here. And what I said was, okay, give me all the main deck monsters and give me their miscellaneous information. I had to ask for miscellaneous information because that returns the views and stuff. And I had to go through every single card in response, and if it's in this question mark attack / question mark defense or question mark attack, it turns out there's no monsters that have normal attack and question mark defense. I have to go through this entire list, and if its name is in the question mark attack and defense name, I change its attack and defense to be a negative value. So basically the negative value, and they're all going to be unique negative values because I'm keeping track of, right? So like if Grenmachi is the 10,000th card in the list, it's going to have an attack of negative 10,000. If Eater of Millions is, and Eater of Millions can't be negative 10,000, right? That way, first of all, no Yu-Gi-Oh monsters have negative attack. And second of all, if they ever get compared, it's never going to equal anything because they're all unique negative numbers, right? So once you have this, like I sort of got all the information about all the monsters, I edited that information, and now that the information matches what I want my program to do, then the rest of the code is actually relatively straightforward to write because you just have to compare normally. You don't have to add any special cases. So that is basically what happened. And so that's sort of how I fixed the question mark attack and defense issue, because that was, that was not a great thing. Because it was causing problems, and it was my boy Grenmachi wasn't working properly, so of course I had to fix it. Okay guys, that is really all I have for you guys. Again, this took a lot of work to make, but I hope it is worth it, guys. And remember to subscribe. Hopefully try your Small World. Let me know what you guys think of the program. Let me know if you find any bugs, and until next time guys, I will see you guys in the next video.